It is runtime, so let's dive into everything that happened in Indian tech in the last 24 hours. Today is Thursday, August 14th. And the first news item that I have for you all here is Siddharth Bhatia, the founder of Push AI, has made a $50 billion unsolicited offer to acquire Perplexity and Google Chrome. Now, obviously, this is not a serious offer. Push AI is valued at just $50 million. And so Siddharth was obviously just making a joke here, but this is also him taking a page out of Aravind Srinivas's book here, because Perplexity this week also offered to buy Google Chrome for $34.5 billion from Alphabet, the parent company of Google, and that was a serious offer. Now, this did happen on Tuesday, and it's not the first time Perplexity has made a headline-grabbing acquisition offer. Back in January of 2025, they offered to buy TikTok US, and specifically looking at India now, Perplexity has been in the news cycle quite a bit this week. Yesterday, on Wednesday, they announced that Perplexity Finance is now going to be supporting Indian stocks, and that they'll also be launching some upcoming features for India like price alerts and stock screening. And someone also asked whether Perplexity would support Zerodha integration in the future, and Aravind said that he had actually spoken with Nikhil and Nitin Kamath and that he would be sharing something soon on that point. All right, next up in the news, the Aryabhatta 1.0 paper drop has finally happened. And for those of you who are out of the loop, Aryabhatta 1.0 is an exam-focused language model for JEE Math, which was developed by Athena Agent and PhysicsWallah AI. Now, they actually open sourced this model on July 22nd, and I had a conversation on Runtime with Sachin from Athena Agent and also Ritvik from PhysicsWallah to talk about it. And you can find that conversation, that live stream, on YouTube as well as on X. But now, finally, the model paper is publicly available, and it covers the composition of the training data set, some details about training methodologies, and also a couple of interesting tidbits about how they did effective exploration with RLVR. All right, next up, just a quick update here. The Residency has opened up 2 wildcard slots for the hacker house that they're setting up in HSR layout in Bengaluru. And so if you are in the Residency Delta applicant pool and you live in India, then this opportunity is open for you. And also, speaking of Delta, 3 finalists were selected to participate in the Residency's 3-month-long all-inclusive residency experience in San Francisco, and one of them is from India. Abhinav Gupta is building the future of air conditioning at his startup Breather, and will be sharing more updates on his progress over the next couple of weeks and months. But Abhinav did mention that now that Breather is headed to the United States, his company is going to be solving for India first, but that his ambitions are also now global too. And if you want to learn more about his story, I actually did sit down with him as well with Abhinav on Runtime back in July, and got a chance to understand the problem that Breather is solving and the journey that Abhinav has been on to bring his vision to life. And again, you can find that live stream on X as well as on YouTube if you're interested. All right, next up in the news here, an Indian EV manufacturer, Omega Seiki Mobility, is going to be investing $25 million to set up an assembly plant in Dubai. OSM's primary focus is on making electric auto rickshaws for the transportation of cargo, but they also do manufacture electric mopeds and electric trucks as well. And so this $25 million assembly plant is going to be built over the next 5 years with the goal of helping Dubai to meet its rising demand for low emission vehicles in the delivery and service sector. And this assembly plant is also going to act as an export hub for OSM, giving them access to markets across the Middle East and also Africa. And apart from EVs, OSM also wants to expand into CNG powered vehicles too for certain parts of Africa. And you all know how excited I get about Indian companies going global, so it's really incredible to see OSM expanding beyond the Indian market, where they've already sold 20,000 vehicles and set up about 160 dealerships so far. Now, OSM isn't the only Indian EV manufacturer that announced expansion plans in the last 24 hours. Oben Electric is also looking at global markets like the Middle East and Africa and Latin America too, with the goal of selling their electric motorcycles in these countries from 2027 onwards. And Oben's Roar EZ Sigma begins deliveries tomorrow, August 15th. It has a top speed of 95 kilometers per hour and a range of 175 kilometers, and pricing starts at 1 lakh rupees. All right, next up in the news here, medtech startup Cureous Labs has raised 1.66 crore rupees. That's about $189,000 in its seed round, led by Inflection Point Ventures with participation from Anthill Ventures. And these guys are making India's first and only intelligent automatic patient repositioning system. So if you've ever been extremely sick or you've met an accident and you ended up in the hospital, you'll know that moving around in a bed can actually be pretty challenging in a hospital. And oftentimes when people lose lose their mobility or they're unable to move themselves, caretakers in hospitals have to do that repositioning for them. And so if you don't reposition the patient, they'll actually develop bed sores, which can become infected and eventually turn septic, which can be life-threatening. And so turning the patient in bed periodically is incredibly important. And so now Cureous Labs is going to be using this seed round to manufacture the first batch of what they're calling Eternal, which is the name of this repositioning system, which does it all automatically. All right, next up, Kolkata now has its first rated 4 data center. It's in Newtown, and this was set up by CtrlS, which is a Hyderabad-based data center company. They only set up rated 4 data centers. And in case you don't know about this rating system, there's actually 4 tiers of data centers. Tier 1 means that there's one delivery path for power and cooling and no redundancy. So if something fails, you're down. And tier 1 data centers usually have about 28 to 29 hours of downtime every single year. And I won't go through all of the different tiers, but compared to tier 1, tier 4 data centers have 2 active delivery paths, and there's full redundancy. These data centers are compartmentalized, they're concurrently maintainable, they're fault tolerant, and so basically they never go down, right? Just maybe 20 to 30 minutes of downtime per year. And so coming back to CtrlS now, this is actually just the beginning of a much larger plan to build a huge 2,200 crore rupee Eastern India data center ecosystem. All right, next up in the news, Bengaluru-based NeuralGarage has dubbed the movie War 2 in Telugu using AI. And this movie came out today itself as I'm filming this video. And one of the reasons why this is noteworthy is that the usage of AI here is pretty heavy. They're doing AI-generated lip syncing, and they're also using voice cloning to change the language of the film from Hindi to Telugu. Now, NTR Jr. dubbed his own lines from Hindi to Telugu, but Hrithik Roshan's voice actually got voice cloning treatment, so all of his lines in the Telugu version of the film are going to be AI generated. And it really does feel like AI is going to start having some pretty major impacts here in India's film industry in the next couple of months and years. And many of you probably saw how Eros International re-released a 2013 film in cinemas called Ranjahana. I personally have not seen this movie, but the male lead in that film originally dies at the end of the movie. But in the AI generated 2025 re-release, they brought him back to life at the end of the movie, turning a sad ending into a happy ending. But the lead actor who played the character who was supposed to die actually posted on X saying, "The re-release of Ranjahana with an AI-altered climax has completely disturbed me. This alternate ending has stripped the film of its very soul, and the concerned parties went ahead with it despite my clear objection. This is not the film I committed to 12 years ago. I sincerely hope that stricter regulations are put in place to prevent such practices in the future." Okay, now I want to go through a couple of hiring updates. One company here, Maya Research, is hiring Dimant Reddy. One of the founders of Maya Research posted on X saying that they're looking for remote people on a monthly salary of between 1 and 1.2 lakh rupees to come solve the most fascinating problems that he has ever seen. And Maya Research is the AI lab behind Veena, which is an Indic text-to-speech model that is expressive, conversational, and is able to naturally code switch between languages. Now, apart from Maya Research, Satpal Singh Rathore is also hiring. He's a resident at Lossfunk, and he's hiring an RL engineer to work on this very interesting project. You can see it here on screen. And what they want to do is push the boundaries of LLMs in social reasoning. And so they're building RL environments, data, and benchmarks to simulate more real-world scenarios. Now, I know that this probably just looks like Minecraft to you, but they're actually using digital environments as a playground for real-world scenarios, enabling agents to learn useful abilities through RL. And so for folks who want to train state-of-the-art RL, you can reach out to Satpal. So those are all of the updates that I have for you all from the last 24 hours in Indian tech. If you're enjoying this series, or if you aren't, please leave a comment down below and let me know what your thoughts are, what you appreciate, what you don't appreciate. And yeah, I'll catch you tomorrow on Friday. Okay, see ya.